Wind howled through the narrow streets of the seaside town, tugging at Alina's scarf as she stood on the pier, gazing at the restless waves. At 36, she carried herself with a quiet grace, her auburn hair tied loosely, strands dancing in the breeze, her green eyes sharp with a mixture of resolve and doubt. Beside her stood Thomas, her husband of 12 years, his broad shoulders hunched against the cold. He was a fisherman, a man of few words, whose hands bore the scars of a life spent battling the sea. Their marriage was a sturdy ship, weathered but functional, its sails patched with routine and unspoken compromises. Yet, beneath the surface, Alina felt the hull creaking. Before we jump in, real quick, most of you who enjoy these videos still haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, please take a second to hit that button. It helps with channel growth so much and means more than you know. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. Now, let's begin. Began 6 months ago, not with a dramatic flourish, but with a slow drip of curiosity. She'd been volunteering at the town's library when a stranger walked in, a woman named Clara, 32, with jet black hair and a voice like velvet. Clara was an artist, newly arrived to paint the coast's rugged beauty, her canvases alive with colors Alina hadn't known she craved. Their first conversation was about books. Clara recommended Wuthering Heights, but it quickly spiraled into something deeper. Coffee turned into walks along the cliffs, then late-night talks in Clara's rented cottage, the air thick with turpentine and unspoken tension. Alina hadn't planned to fall. Thomas was her anchor, the man who'd built their home plank by plank, who hummed old sea shanties when he thought no one was listening. But Clara was a storm-wild, unpredictable, stirring parts of Alina she'd buried beneath domesticity. One evening, as rain lashed the cottage windows, Clara's hand brushed hers, lingering too long. "You're not happy," Clara whispered, her gaze piercing. Alina didn't deny it. The kiss that followed was tentative, then desperate, a collision of longing and guilt that left her breathless. For weeks, she lived a double life. Mornings were spent with Thomas frying eggs in their cramped kitchen, the radio crackling with weather reports. Afternoons belonged to Clara, her laughter echoing through the salt-stained air as they explored hidden coves or sat sketching on the cliffs. Alina told herself it was harmless, an escape, a fleeting spark. Thomas suspected nothing, his trust as steady as the tides. But the lies piled up, heavy as wet sand, and she began to drown in them. One gray afternoon, as Thomas repaired nets in the shed, Alina sat at their dining table, a letter trembling in her hands. She written it the night before, after leaving Clara's bed, the words spilling out in a rush of confession. "Thomas," it began, "I've been unfaithful, not with a man, but with someone who's woken something in me I can't ignore. I don't know what I want, but I know I've hurt you. I'm sorry." She didn't intend to give it to him, not yet, but fate had other plans. He walked in, wiping his hands on a rag, and saw the envelope before she could hide it. "What's that?" he asked, his voice gruff but curious. She froze, her heart hammering. "It's nothing, just a note." He studied her, his blue eyes narrowing. "You've been strange lately, Elle, distant. If there's something to say, say it." The dam broke. She slid the letter across the table, her hands shaking. "Read it." Thomas unfolded the paper, his face hardening with each line. When he finished, he didn't shout or storm out. He sat, staring at the words, the silence stretching into eternity. Finally, he looked up, his voice low. "Who is she?" "Clara," Alina whispered, barely audible. "The artist. It's not what you think. It's complicated." "Complicated," he echoed, a bitter edge creeping in. 12 years, and you throw it away for complicated." "I didn't mean to," she started, but he cut her off. "Don't," he stood, grabbing his coat. "I need air." The door slammed behind him, rattling the windows. Alina didn't follow. She sat, tears streaming down her face, the weight of her betrayal sinking in. She'd expected anger, maybe even relief at his escape, but his quiet pain cut deeper than any outburst. That night, she didn't go to Clara. She stayed home, the empty house echoing with memories of their wedding on the beach, of Thomas carrying her over the threshold, of the miscarriage that had silenced their dreams of a family. She'd broken something sacred, and for what? The next day, she met Clara at the cottage. "I told him," Alina said, her voice hollow. "He knows." Clara's eyes widened, then softened. "What now?" "I don't know," Alina admitted. "I thought you would fix me, but I'm more lost than ever." Clara reached for her, but Alina stepped back. "I need time," she said, and left, the door closing softly behind her. Weeks passed in a haze. Thomas moved into the guest room, their interactions reduced to curt exchanges about bills and groceries. Alina stopped seeing Clara, though the artist's presence lingered in every brushstroke she saw, every wave that crashed too hard. She threw herself into work at the library, organizing shelves with a fervor that bordered on obsession, as if order could mend her chaos. But the town was small, and whispers followed her gossip about the fisherman's wife and the mysterious painter. Thomas heard it too, his silence growing colder. One evening, as snow dusted the pier, Alina found a note slipped under the door. "Meet me," it read in Clara's looping script. Against her better judgment, she went. Clara stood by the cliffs, her black hair whipping in the wind, a canvas propped beside her, a painting of Alina, her face alight with a joy she no longer felt. "I'm leaving," Clara said. "This place, it's too small for what we started. But I needed you to see this. You're more than you think you are." Alina stared at the painting, her throat tight. "I ruined everything for this, for you." "No," Clara replied. "You ruined it for you. And maybe that's not the end." She handed Alina the canvas and walked away, disappearing into the dusk. The painting haunted her. She hung it in the attic, a secret mirror to her fractured self. Thomas noticed her distraction, and one night, as they sat by the fire, he broke the silence. "Do you love her?" Alina hesitated. "I did. I don't know anymore." He nodded, stoking the flames. "I don't hate you, Elle. I should, but I don't. I don't know who we are now." "Neither do I," she said, her voice breaking. "Can we figure it out?" He didn't answer, but he didn't leave either. They sat, the fire crackling, a fragile truce settling between them. Months crept by. Thomas began talking more small things at first, about the boat, the weather, then deeper memories of their early years. Alina listened, adding her own stories, their voices weaving a tentative bridge. She didn't tell him about the painting, but she brought it down one day, setting it in the living room. "It's me," she said simply, "or who I was." He studied it, then her. "You're still her, just different." Spring arrived, softening the town's edges. One afternoon, as they walked the pier, Thomas stopped. "I saw her leave," he said. "Clara, I didn't say anything, but I was glad." Alina smiled faintly. "Me too." He took her hand, rough fingers curling around hers. "I don't forgive you yet, but I'm here." It wasn't a fairy tale. It was raw, messy, a love tested by betrayal and time. But as the waves rolled in, Alina felt the echoes of her choice fading, replaced by something quieter, hope, perhaps, or the promise of a new tide.